See, I like dogs. Metalhead. So this is Black Mirror Season 4, Episode 5, and it is a little bit of a departure in a number of realms. Keep in mind, though, I've only seen Season 4 so far. I haven't seen the early stuff, so how much of a departure from stuff prior to this, I can't really say. I'm not in a position to. And also, spoiler warning, that's your heads up, don't complain to me. So, the black and white was an interesting choice. It was very stark, and I think it worked really well visually for it, because it just made the whole thing just a little bit more harrowing, and also really kind of helped immediately bring across the very post-apocalyptic feel of it. It had a very Logan feel to it, a very The Road feel to it. And I think that's a mood that black and white serves really well. I mean, you can see edits of Logan redone, or, sections of it redone in black and white, and it looks phenomenal. And this feels in many ways like that. So I think that was a pretty neat choice. This is more or less a one-woman show, because it's just the lead character just trying to get away from this thing, and the tension ratchets up really, really well. This sort of thing, you don't see a ton of. This whole just sort of incredibly boiled down premise of robot hunts human, or just, something stalks human, and only one, not like a group of them, but just one. You don't see too much anymore. I think it was used more, a couple decades ago, usually by cheap movie studios, if we're being completely honest, because the fewer characters there are, the fewer people you have to pay. But when it's done right, I mean, you get stuff like Duel, Steven Spielberg's first movie, or some of the better moments from The Edge, or things like that, and it felt like a throwback in a good way. And she does a really good job of really exemplifying just how stressed she is. And it really is very straightforward. There isn't a ton to talk about in this one, which might lead to the fact that I get the impression that this is not a particularly well-liked episode. I'm judging that mainly on the IMDb rating, because I'm on IMDb, and I do rate individual episodes of TV shows as I go along, and I did notice this one has a notably lower user star rating than the other episodes this season. So I suspect that the fact that it is so basic, that it is so straightforward, and it doesn't really have a twist, it doesn't have a real deep examination of much of anything, really. There's stuff at the margins, there's hints at stuff, but the sort of the standard premise that I've been getting off Black Mirror up to this point, which is, let's really examine what an advancement of this understandable technology would look like. This doesn't feel like that as much. I mean, the design of the robot, you can see stuff like that. Like, I remember a year or so ago, videos went viral of sort of this, four-legged walking robot thing, and I really do like the design of this robot. I just like that it really feels like it's built for efficiency more than anything else. It is no bigger than it needs to be. When it's in a situation that it can't see an immediate resolution to, it goes into sleep mode. When it's had a pattern that keeps resulting in nothing, like why she keeps hitting it with stuff from the tree at regular intervals, so that it just starts ignoring her because it's a waste of its energy to keep reawakening. Oh, it's nothing. Go back down. I love how it's just built for efficiency, and built for efficiency with killing people in mind. And I do kind of wonder and suspect, though, that sort of the lack of full context, or the lack of really diving into the notions of the technology, is probably why this seems to be a lower rated episode. For my part, though, I actually really enjoyed it. It doesn't have the lasting impact of the Black Mirror episodes that I've seen so far. It's very harrowing while you're watching it, but it doesn't linger. It doesn't occupy your thoughts afterwards the way that something like Crocodile or even USS Callister would. You know, those have either concepts or push characters to such extremes that they kind of burrow their way in, and you find yourself still thinking about it, either because it really horrified you or because like the concepts were so intriguing you keep thinking about them. And that's not really the case with this one, but I still actually quite enjoyed it, and feel that it was really well executed for what it was trying to be. And I also think that the closing note felt good, and it felt right. I kind of saw it coming. I figured that whatever they were after was going to turn out to be something really innocuous, and you know, I think it does actually paint a pretty telling picture of whatever the state of the world currently is, that people were willing to risk their lives, and in this case actually lose their lives, just for the chance to cheer up what is implied to be a dying child. And the idea that they have to go through this nightmare, deadly scenario just to get a friggin' teddy bear like that is sort of the sinkingly depressing implications that you expect out of Black Mirror, but here it's much more a background feature. And like I said, the main story doesn't invite the same kind of deep, really dwelling on it that I think a lot of the other ones do. So I think there is definitely some heavy, dark world implications to this, but they're much more in the background, and they're much more vague. Though to my personal liking, I like that we don't really know what is going on, like on a global scale. Like, why do so many things seem abandoned? Is it because of these machines, or did the abandonment happen, you know, because of something else, and these machines are just running on automated for whatever it was that they were designed to do, but people who might have been able to reprogram them and calm them down aren't around anymore? Like, I don't know. But ultimately, for the purposes of this story, it also doesn't matter. And I don't think there was really much of an organic way to integrate that kind of information into the story. So, personally speaking, I'm okay with the fact that we don't get details onto why the world is in the state that it is in, especially when it's depicted as well as it seems to be. I think this one's going to be on the shorter side, because like I said, there's just a bit less depth to this. And there's still plenty to think about if you're I want to piece together the possibilities, come up with my own theory kind of person. There's still meat to get out of this, mileage to be had thinking about it afterwards. But if you're not that kind of person, yeah, it kind of just comes and goes. And most of the other, I don't think any of the other Black Mirror episodes that I've watched really have been kind of like theory fodder. They've been pretty straightforward, like, this is what we're dealing with here. Here you go. So for something to be more visceral but have its deeper implications be more hidden and more background and less clear, yeah, it's a change of pace. And again, I get why it's probably lower rated, but I still rather enjoyed it. I suspect that it is probably an outlier in terms of approach and tone and all of that, but I had fun with it. Now, at this point, I've had very mixed reports about whether or not I should see all the earlier episodes before seeing Black Museum. I had a lot of people early on tell me I should, because there's a lot of references and Easter eggs that I won't catch otherwise. I've had other people tell me that I really don't have to, and I can get to Black Museum now, and maybe I'll appreciate it more on a rewatch later, but there's no reason to wait. And at this point, I've just heard too much from both sides. I'm sticking with my original plan. From here, I'm going back to the beginning with Black Mirror. I'm going to start with Season 1, Episode 1. I'm going to get through Season 1, 2, 3, and then come back and do the Black Museum. So I don't have a time frame on this right now. I've been trying to crank these out pretty quickly, but I think we're going to go back to something more in the neighborhood of once a week. I wanted to try and get through as much of Season 4 as I was going to get through at a go fairly quickly. But at this point, yeah, I need to slow down with this because it's getting harder for me to schedule other stuff in here. So, Black Mirror, Metalhead. What were your thoughts on it? Whatever they were, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Do all the things, like and subscribe. I've got an email, podcast, and Twitter, and all that stuff. Links for all those are down in the description. So until next time, this council is adjourned.